everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan from a roof as we break down the Friday 10-game NBA DFS slate. We just had every Laker in the world get ruled out. I love basketball. I love NBA DFS. It's outrageous, but we have a lot of lineup swapping to do. Rinback, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just trying to maneuver in my head on who to go to with all these Lakers news. Going to be a fun late swap extravaganza, and hopefully we both end up on the right side of things, and hopefully some of our listeners do as well. But should be a fun Thursday night slate to talk about.
Oh my!
It'll be really interesting to see what ends up panning out. It's been a while since we had a 4-game main slate, so on to Friday we go.
This is just going to be nuts. Guys, get to that bottom bar. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can get all the good juju for your Lakers tonight if you're watching us a little bit early when we get this posted, because I'm sure that game will be going on when we get this posted up tonight. So get down to that bottom bar and get that subscribe button especially. We are sponsored today, as always, by MonkeyKnifeFight.com. They do a lot of prop-based gaming. They have a bunch of stuff going on for the golf right now that's been fantastic, except for Kevin Na did not play well. That made me sad. My fiance as well, that's her favorite golfer, loves her little adorable daughter. Just letting that know. Sidebars are fun. But NBA prop-based games, MLB, compete against the house there, compete against them, against Monkey Knife Fight. It is a fantastic, fun thing to be doing. Check them out. Use promo code AWESEMO to get a $50 first deposit match bonus. AWESEMO. Stop guessing, start winning. But also check out monkeyknifefight.com. You ready to get started, my dude?
Let's ride.
Let's ride. We got on the top end point guard Russ Westbrook, $11,000 up against New Orleans. That seems like a fun spot to target. Luka Doncic is $10,800 going up against the Knicks. No ceiling Doncic, basically. I don't know how to really say that. 54.75, but also hit one of the most ridiculous shots ever. That was fun. James Harden continues to be out, so we got Kyrie Irving now under 10K. Just went nuts against Brooklyn in limited minutes. 59.25. That was pretty nifty. But you'll get Kevin Durant back into the fray there, so that makes it a little bit tougher for him to realize the ceiling, but under 10K, you got to still like that. Talk to me about the top end of point guard.
Yeah, you rattle off some great top tier options. Obviously, some guys are coming back in the fold in Brooklyn. KD, I expect Kevin Durant to play, so it'll be you can still roster Kyrie at that price tag, sub 10K. He does have that ceiling in him. You can just get going in that matchup. So I don't have a problem with targeting Charlotte with Kyrie Irving. Luka's going to have a ceiling game. Is it going to happen against the Knicks and burn us all because we're all fed up with his performances? Yeah, it's probably going to happen just because that's how things with the ball roll sometimes. But how can we not talk about Westbrook? He's getting all the minutes in the world. He's playing amazing in terms of fantasy purposes. And the team's been winning of late, so it's been good for the Wizards. Russ Westbrook has slowly but surely just becoming the old self. What year did he win the MVP? It was 16-17. He won the MVP the year Durant left, and he's just showing a lot of signs, a lot of similar fantasy performances that we saw back then. I like them all, but I think I'd prefer going to Kyrie Irving in terms of that matchup, in terms of tournament upside. I like going to that, but in terms of raw points, how can you not go to Russ?
Yeah, Russ is ridiculous. I will say that game, the Washington-New Orleans game, is the first one off the bat, but I really don't care. I mean, Russ against New Orleans, sign me up. That's pretty darn nifty. You've got a slate where we don't really have a 7 p.m. window. There's not, or on the West Coast, 10 p.m. window for you East Coasters, I apologize. There's one standalone game sitting there at 9:30 p.m., New York and Dallas. Otherwise, the next last lock game out of the 10 games is 8:30 with Portland and San Antonio. So late swap will have to be fast and consistent. You'll have to be very efficient with how you do that on this entire slate. Working down into this middle ground, I do kind of like if Lonzo Ball is going to continue to be out. I know that it seems a little bit thin, but Kira Lewis Jr. is 3,500 down there. Played 21 minutes, did not perform well against the Knicks, but the Knicks aren't a team you're generally going to be performing well against. Najee Marshall is still 4K. He played 33 minutes. If he's in that starting lineup again, which I would expect him to be, that's a good spot to go. But talking about point guards specifically, Kira Lewis Jr., I might take some tournament shots up against Washington. I think that would be all right. And then Ben Simmons, 7,800 on DK. Somebody that I think you can definitely go back to again. He's 6,900 over on FanDuel. So how do you feel about Ben Simmons against the Clippers? That's got to be the lowest tag we've seen on Ben Simmons in forever.
Yeah, it's going to take some time. Probably maybe his rookie season. That's how low Ben Simmons has fallen, but he showed out last time, and FanDuel couldn't, for some reason, didn't adjust in time. So I like going to Ben Simmons. I know it's a Clippers matchup. I believe this game is a national televised game. Yeah, I think this would be a national televised game.
It is.
Should be a good game.
Yeah.
You can make a case it's a finals preview. Some may believe that. I may be a big proponent of the Clippers getting to the finals this year, but we shall see what happens in the East. But yeah, Ben Simmons, I like that. I think pivoting to a Kyle Lowry, if he were to play, actually no, Kyle Lowry I think is out tomorrow, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he is too. They're still just kind of resting him. It's been a weird situation. It said that he's not going to play on Friday. So, I mean, we're looking at the exact same situation we've had on a million slates where you just plug and play Malachi Flynn. He's up to 6,200 on DK. I think that at least makes you think, but 5,500 on FanDuel is still a misprice.
I agree. And I think another guy who's been disappointing for a lot of it has been John Morant. He's also cheap at 6,900 now. Matchup versus Chicago. Chicago might be facing some COVID issues. I know Levine's going to be out for several weeks, according to Shams Charania, because the ES Center health and safety protocols. But the Chicago team might be depleted, where we might see a Memphis team take advantage of the Chicago team quite a bit. But it's tough not to like those upper tier guys and really spend down on a slate so big. I don't see anyone really below 5K that has an upside of 40 fantasy points, which you really need on a slate to pay off and to win any tournament, in my opinion.
Agreed. It's so weird seeing Kobe White at point guard on FanDuel at 3,800, but that's going to be a thing to think about. Let it be known. Just have that one in the back pocket too. I'm curious what his ownership will get to. But I mean, Satoransky's going to be starting there. They just hate Kobe White, but might have to take some shots at 3,800 there. To the top end of shooting guard over on FanDuel, James Harden's out. Paul George 9,500 up against a tough Philly matchup. Pretty interesting. It sounds like Kawhi is trending towards playing, so I think I'm going to just basically say Kawhi in. I'm not going to be playing Paul George at that number. 9,500 against Philly. I'm still going to have a tough time making that a priority when you have Bradley Beal at 8,400 on FanDuel up against New Orleans. So 9,500 for Paul George, 8,400 for Bradley Beal. DeMar DeRozan 7,900 against Portland. We saw him get up to 37 minutes and 40.3, so that's nice as well. And last guy I'll throw into the hat too, Fred VanVleet 7,400, not listed on the injury report. So I think you're looking at a situation where Malachi Flynn lost his luster on DK, probably still somewhat playable on FanDuel, but Fred VanVleet 7,400. If he's good to go and not on the injury report, I'm in for that. Talk to me about the top end of shooting guard.
Yeah, VanVleet, someone I think he lit up Orlando earlier in the year. Going off the top of my head, maybe he hit like 12 or 13 three-pointers and went off for 50, maybe real-life points. I forget, but it was something remarkable.
It was dumb.
Yeah, but this Orlando team is obviously a lot different. Maybe not a lot different against that team back then because they were dealing with a bunch of injuries even then. So, and VanVleet's just going to have to control the offense and go. Tough not to love VanVleet at that price tag. I think across the board, serious ceiling upside. He should be ready to go. He's cured from his injury, I believe, and he just had to serve that one-game suspension. So going to VanVleet at that price tag, no issues at all, in my opinion. So definitely feel free to fire him up. And other guys in that game, someone who I actually rostered last time was Gary Harris. And the reason why is because his minutes are trickling up.
Okay. Honestly, you're too sharp for me. That's what it is.
And I don't mind it when someone priced at that cheap is going to play that many minutes. And it's a Toronto team that really sucks right now. It's been really bad. And I think we can spend down to guys like him. But other guys in the shooting guard spot, taking a look on FanDuel, PJ Dozier was really, really good. He had an effective two-man game going against a very good Miami team. So I think Malone is going to ride the hot hand with PJ Dozier. In 28 minutes, put up 31.4 fantasy points. How do you feel about Dozier on both sides? How do you like that FanDuel price tag, especially at 4K?
I think shooting guard is a tough position to get right on this slate tomorrow. I think that there's a lot of upside that's kind of sitting there for some of these low guys. You talked about Gary Harris, 3,500. I expect him to gain some popularity. I think PJ Dozier coming off a game where we were kind of curious who was going to be the fill-in guy. He's up to 4K on FanDuel, but 28 minutes, just a great play as well. I can't really fault you over there. You can play Kyrie Irving at shooting guard on DraftKings. Paul George, 9,100, a little bit better price tag over there. Bradley Beal, 8,900 I want to play. I don't know. I feel as though shooting guard is pretty darn nifty on this slate, and I'm probably going to have to to really try to play a bunch. Well, I mean, I always play a bunch of lineups. I'm not gonna like change that theory. But Grayson Allen as well, 4,400, put up 38, played 34 minutes. He's gonna play 34 minutes. I think that's kind of an interesting pivot off of all of those guys as well. Not to be point chasing by any means, but if you were to get DeAnthony Melton, who is going to be out here again, that could be an all right spot. Anybody else you want to talk about?
As I'm taking a look at other guys, such a huge slate. So there are a lot of guys who can break the slate here and there. A lot of news is going to really carry the slate, as we saw what the Clippers did the other night. But on this slate specifically, with Karl Anthony Towns coming back in the mix, the Minnesota guard situation is going to be really tough to target. OKC has been really different with all the news situation. So we've kind of been an on and off, back and on and off with like their consistent starters and then going back to like their consistent scrubs. So it's been really tough to predict within that situation. But no one really else stands out at the price tag. Josh Richardson maybe at 4,900 just because he's going to play 30-plus minutes and there's a way for him to get there. But honestly, for me, going to guys like Harris and Dozier, spending down to them, I'm okay with that. And J.J. Redick got 15 minutes. Not someone to target really, but someone who can bang out 5 3-pointers in 15 minutes and get some extra peripherals. Just taking some real leaps and bounds tournament darts as they look at the shooting guard position on DK. But tough not to spend up for some of those studs over there that you rattled off in the beginning, especially Van Vliet.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be a fun, wild slate. That's for sure. Also, this is really fun because like it feels as though you're a caller in on my radio show right now, and I'm having a blast. Like this is phenomenal. I feel very, very important right now, as if I'm just like leading the show here at the moment. Anyway, that's I guess kind of my job. So I guess I do.
I have to apologize to the listeners. I am out of town and I'm not in my same setup as usual, as you can tell. So I am going through a makeshift setup right now. And I apologize if my audio quality is not clear. It should be back to good on Sunday night.
No, dude, you're a stud. You're outdoors. You're socially distanced. You're vaccinated. You're starting all the things. You're doing everything right, my friend. Luka Doncic 10,800 on the top end on DraftKings. Small forward eligible there. Kawhi Leonard, it's questionable, so he's at least upgraded to a place where he might be in play. Up against Philly, 9,700 nationally televised game. That could be interesting. But it's the Clippers. You just never know. Thank God that game locks at 7 p.m. right off the bat, so we don't have to wait on anything from them, any of their tomfoolery.
Or that could go really bad, too, especially knowing the Clippers.
Oh, God. Don't even do that. Don't put that juju in the world. Jimmy Butler, 9,200 up against Minnesota. This is kind of a small little revenge spot, so I want to let it be known. Jimmy Butler hates Karl Anthony Towns. Jimmy Butler calls Karl Anthony Towns soft, hated playing basketball with him. I know as a Timberwolves fan, Jimmy Butler might get up. I don't try to do like many narratives, but I guess this one's maybe a little personal for me because we had Jimmy Butler when we lost him and we should have. I love Jimmy Butler so much, and Karl Anthony Towns might be a little soft. I don't know, but Karl Anthony Towns is very good at basketball. Jimmy Butler does not like him. Towns does not like Butler. That should be a fun little tandem to kind of target in tournaments, I think. Just throwing it out there. And then Brandon Ingram, 8,500 up against Washington. Yes, please. Talk to me about the top and a small forward.
Yeah, love the mini narrative that you mentioned. I think it's more than mini, but Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler, great spend-up options. I think DeMar DeRozan versus a Portland matchup that's really favorable. And DeMar DeRozan really the head honcho on that Spurs team in terms of pure offensive talent. So don't mind that. Obviously, Luka still has small forward eligibility. Someone who was really good in his minutes played was Michael Porter Jr. Really his time to show out without Jamal Murray. In 33 minutes, put up 46 fantasy points. Michael Porter Jr., one of my favorite players in the league. Really happy for him to potentially take the next step forward. A lot of the obviously everyone's counting out this Nuggets team, and they have an effective backcourt backups in Monty Morris and Campazzo. Monty Morris is one of the best backup point guards in the league. It may be the best backup point guard out there, in my opinion. He's very, very good, and I think this Denver team will miss Murray's offensive talent, but I still think this Denver team can compete on most nights very effectively. Other guys in the small forward range, you want to spend down over there in DraftKings. Will Barton, someone who has shown an upside without Murray when Murray was injured last week. I think we can go to him. A couple of disappointing games. Honestly, a guy who has 40-point upside in them at that price tag, we can definitely take advantage of that. Over there on small forward on FanDuel, Kawhi, Kevin Durant. Let's see what Kevin Durant's minutes limit's going to look like. He played 23 to 27, He's actually gone 18, 23, 27. Based on that trend, he should go 30 minutes this game against Charlotte. So 30 minutes of KD should pan out potentially. So uh, I think going to KD is a long shot tournament option. I think I'd rather pivot to a guy like Jimmy Butler against Minnesota. And I really like Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., and Kevin Porter Jr. on the other side is a great tournament option. Anyone else on the FanDuel small forward spend down option? Anyone that stand out to you specifically under 5,000?
Yeah, Rui Hachimura is 4,900. I don't know. Maybe I'm just legally I'm obligated to recommend playing Rui Hachimura 4,900 against New Orleans. Still played 34 minutes. Hasn't been as productive here, but that's part of just Beal and Westbrook going off in certain spots. So I do like going to that direction. Going down a little bit further, we saw James Ennis have a pretty good game. I'm not really willing to chase him, but he did get up to 30 minutes, 34.3, where you do have to play two small forwards over on FanDuel. I don't necessarily mind going his direction. Najee Marshall, as long as he's starting again, I mean, that's one of the bummers of I had a nice ticket on FanDuel to a big contest and ended up wasting it away because I couldn't get myself to pull the trigger on Najee Marshall, even though he was in the starting lineup. Ended up playing 33 minutes, was awesome. Just productive, gets a bunch of boards as well. 31.8 over on FanDuel. Give me 30 plus minutes of him if he's in that starting lineup up against Washington. I'm full go with that. Patrick Williams, last guy I'll throw in, 3,800 for 27 minutes of him. Probably a little too cheap, but again, on this slate, not maybe carrying the upside that you're looking for. Anybody else to bring up?
Yeah, I think a great shout out to Patrick Williams and Noah Levine. This team's going to get a lot of usage spread around them. I guess like Kobe White might get extra minutes. Patrick Williams might get extra usage. Satoransky will get that as well. Vooch, another beneficiary. We'll see what this Donovan rotation is going to look like with Levine. So I don't know how many games Levine has missed with Vucevic has entered the team, but it'll be really interesting to see what really happens. I don't think he has missed a game since Vooch has joined the team. So really unfortunate for this Bulls team, who's on the fringes of the play-in tournament.
Well, welcome back to Orlando, Nikola Vucevic. Enjoy your time as the centerpiece of this entire situation for sure. Zion Williamson,
you could make a case.
Go ahead, I'm ready for it.
You could make a case saying this Bulls team is worse than the Orlando team that he just left.
Oh, for sure, especially if you put Aaron Gordon into the Orlando bucket. I would agree with you 100%. Yeah. I mean, they are bad. It's pretty gross, but yeah, anywho, we're going to keep ourselves moving along. We're almost there. Zion Williamson, $10,000 up top against Washington. Oh, man. I mean, what are the chances that I'm not over the field on that? 1 in a million, probably. I will be over the field on Zion. Julius Randle, 9,200 against Dallas. Kristaps Porzingis, 8,800 against the Knicks. You want to talk revenge spot. This is probably another little revenge spot we can talk about, although a different coach. A little bit of different roster, but Kristaps Porzingis, the team that quit on him, getting them in Dallas, going to probably play pretty well, I would expect in that spot. And then Christian Wood, his price didn't change. He's still 7,800. What are we doing over here, FanDuel? Talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, definitely a Porzingis spot. Dallas team has been playing through Porzingis a bit more and more. I was disappointing last time against Memphis. I think it's fine to go back against the Knicks. He was disappointing last time against the Knicks. That's on April 2nd. So, Porzingis, anytime a guy who has a ceiling in 30 minutes to put up 50 fantasy points, he's going to always have tournament interest. He's going to be low owned, and I think we can take our chances to target him there. But Christian Wood against this Denver team, man, I think Christian Wood is slowly but surely really trying to carry the load. Last two games above 50 fantasy points. And in this type of matchup, you're going to have to project him north of 40 for sure, mid-40s maybe. And at that price tag, we'll be very content. Even on such a slate this big, we would love him to get to 50 plus, and we know that's the upside in him. So definitely targeting the Christian Wood. I like that on both sides, honestly. I think especially on FanDuel where we have the roster too, it makes a ton of sense. But our guy, Zion Williamson, has now been 10K on both sides. This is our moment, and this is absolutely phenomenal. Great for Zion. I mean, well-deserved.
We've been talking about the Pelicans since before the season started. The very first day, I was like, I'm all in on Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram all the way to the top. They're an every year-long team. Zion is just awesome. It's just, he's so good. He's so good. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I completely agree.
He's incredible.
Totally agree with that. And now a Washington matchup, he should be amazing. So definitely someone we can target too. Uh, if you want to spend down, I believe Josh Jackson on has power forward eligibility now on DraftKings. He's a pure tournament option. Really, really weird to see that option. But Keldon Johnson, a guy who has an upside in him, sometimes he's been consistently in the mid to high 20s minutes, can really have some hyper effective rebound games. So on DraftKings, I think that's a fine consideration. Over there on FanDuel, Aaron Gordon, someone who at $5,300 is could play 30 plus minutes. The game blew out last time. Got 30 fantasy points. I think we can slowly target Aaron Gordon, who might just pick up extra shots. I don't expect him to get much more ball handling duty, if at all. But I think going to Aaron Gordon, I think at that price tag makes a ton of sense in my opinion. $5,300 over there on FanDuel.
So the most popular play on the entire slate at power forward on FanDuel is going to be Isaiah Stewart tomorrow. I will tell you that right now. You have Mason Plumlee, who's already out, 4,800 going up against OKC. I have no problem getting to as much of him as humanly possible. I was actually contemplating, just because I think there are so many injuries here, I never play cash games, like ever. I think I might have to be going and playing some cash games tomorrow because of the way that the slate sets up. And it'll be my first time not on Live Before Lock this week. So I'm very excited to be able to play a bunch of lineups tomorrow. I'm going to be having just a lovely little time. But Isaiah Stewart, what do you think about him?
Love it. Someone who was very good when given the minutes now. Barring any foul trouble, you got to expect him to play 30 plus. I don't mind Isaiah Stewart whatsoever. And I think that's a great way to start your lineups tomorrow.
Yep, and 4,400 at center over to DraftKings. So let's just jump on over to center here. Going to round it out here. Nice quick one, even on a 10-gamer for you tonight. Nikola Jokic, 10,900 over on DraftKings. Just the ceiling is going to consistently be there here. No Jamal Murray, 58 and 56 the last two. Obviously, got it hurt. Jamal Murray got hurt in the last minute of that Golden State game. So not that anybody would ever question the eventual MVP Nikola Jokic this year. But Karl Anthony Towns up against Miami, 10,900. I did just say he hates Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler hates him. That's just kind of the way that it is. So I'm excited for that matchup. Going to be something that I'm probably over the field on. I know you love your boy Cat. And then Joel Embiid, 10,500 up against the Clippers. Viga Zubac is a pretty decent defensive center. This is Joel Embiid in the nationally televised game, which I think he gets up for quite a bit. This top end of center, 10-9 for Jokic, 10-7 Towns, 10-5 Embiid. Who are you rolling with, and why is it Karl Anthony Towns?
Because it's the narrative, right? I'm kidding. But now Karl Anthony Towns, he's really good of late, man. He missed the last two games, but just look at his box score watching. And this is a time where I'm going to say, look at the box score because it's been consistent each time out. And it's been really, really good. He's a matchup-proof center. But so is also Nikola Jokic with no Jamal Murray and Joel Embiid. It's a great decision point. Hopefully there's enough value on DraftKings where you can roster too. But over there on FanDuel, you can mix and match. And I don't know now how much those that $100 difference, that $900 difference off from Cat to Embiid, but really like going to Embiid at 10-2 on FanDuel. Because we have one, and I think you can say Embiid, honestly, it's tough, man. Their ceilings are so identical. It's going to be a great center slate. And then there's Vooch with no Levine. So it's going to be a
tough
center
slate. Then there's
J-Val
who wins tournaments for people because J-Val is playing bigger minutes than before, and he's 8,400, so a discount off of all of them. And then Bam's under 8K now on FanDuel. I mean, I want to play all of the guys.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really, really tough center slate over there on FanDuel. I mean, there's a lot of merit to saving to a guy like Vooch, honestly, just because you'll save so much. Maybe he is underpriced for the new role, and you can do a lot with those extra $2,000 on a slate so big.
Yeah, and you also have a guy at 6K in Wendell Carter Jr., where if you get Mo Bamba out again, going to play 30-plus minutes, went for 47.6. Don't mind going to his direction either at 6K against Toronto. They won't be able to do much. Don't get fooled by some of the Moses Brown stuff, I think. Played 28 minutes. A lot of that was in blowout run. He did go to the 37, 40.4 But yeah, again, played tons of blowout run against Utah and Golden State, so probably going to be shying away from Moses Brown if he's going to be somewhat popular. However, I never know what OKC is going to do with center rotations. Who really knows? Why not? Anybody else that you're looking at punting with? I mean, you have Steven Adams under 5K now. You get 30 minutes of him against Washington. That's not the worst thing either at 4,800.
Yeah, so shout out to LaMarcus Aldridge on a great NBA career. Really sad to see it was a health concern that he decided to step away from. Really unfortunate. And now the Brooklyn frontcourt situation kind of clears up for a few extra minutes. We'll see what it looks like. Tough to pinpoint. But a Charlotte matchup where guys, man, they just don't get enough minutes to be viable. Just wanted to let people know. I know people might overreact to that situation, but another thing to see, Nerlens Noel was scratched last time, and Taj Gibson played a lot of minutes. I don't know what's happening in the Knicks, but if Taj Gibson's going to start, Tibbs is going to roll him out if he could for 100 minutes. But it's that could definitely happen. But really tough to spend down, really below anyone, in my opinion. Zubac. Adams sure is okay, but yeah, I think Adams is the last guy, honestly, on FanDuel. And I feel that hesitant just because he hasn't shown an upside in a long time.
It's true. Just throwing another guy out there.
At the price tag, I think you need 40, right?
Honestly, yeah, totally. This slate, you better get center right. You better get, you have so many different guys at the top end of point guard, too. I mean, this is a fantastic 10-game slate to finish out the week, for sure. Rinpack, any final words for the people? As you're from heaven right now, you have the halo going above you.
No, I just want to say sorry yet once again about the audio, and hopefully I should be good to go come Sunday night. Thanks again so much for tuning in this week. I hope everyone has a great weekend and finish out the week strong. And thanks so much for listening to us yet again.
This is fantastic. Another week in the books for Rinpack from heaven, from me from not heaven, but a nice, lovely place here in Los Angeles. Definitely not hell. We will see you next week. Can't wait. Best of luck, gamers.